In the desert, the Hebrews had no status in any social community large enough to ensure their survival. Therefore, they were forced into a new community by a covenant whose text we have in the Ten Commandments. Contrary to usual procedure, the Israelites did not bind themselves by oath to Moses as their leader. Instead, following the form of suzerainty treaties, they were bound to obey certain stipulations imposed by Yahweh himself. In effect, then, each clan became a vassal of Yahweh by covenant, and at the same time bound to each other in a sacred truce. The Hebrew Scriptures, known to Christians as the Old Testament, were a collection of books written between 1000 and 150 BCE. They are comprised of the Torah, the first 5 books of the law, several historical books, the critical teachings and meditations of the Psalms, and a series of writings by the prophets, persons who spoke God's word directly to the people, commenting on life as should be lived in the political, social, and economic spheres. The Hebrews had a sense of history as a moral drama, an interaction between God and the people of the world that they say held a vision of a golden future, a utopian idea that has fixed itself in Western thought throughout its entire history. Fairly late in the development of their people, Hebrew religion began to demonstrate a more sophisticated approach to matters of faith and began to reach out to the people around them. Faced with what they saw as spiritual deterioration in Israel itself and the oppression of outside peoples, the prophets fought to recall the Jews to the protection of the law. They attacked oppression, cruelty, greed, and exploitation by the leaders of the Jews. They emphasized that ethical and spiritual content of religion and opposed the mechanical observance of rites of just going through the motions of religion. They also saw God's religion as an international one, specifically, rather than as one specifically intended for only the people of Israel. For the first time, religious leaders began to talk of a personal responsibility of the average believer and of a personal relationship between the individual and God. Thus, to summarize the contribution of the Hebrews: number 1, the idea of a transcendent, universal, single God, monotheism. Number 2, a God who cares very much for everyday life. Number 3, a God who acts in history and has plans for the future, and those are good plans. Number 4, God who desires to have a personal relationship with every man and woman. Number 5, a personal relationship which will ensure. Number 5, a personal relationship which will issue forth in a life of credible obedience and service. Finally, it's important to recognize that in another area the Hebrews differed from other Near Eastern peoples in that, while they placed women in a subordinate position, they also recognized women as being full-time partners with men in the affairs of faith and life. They recognized, in effect, the humanity, worth, and dignity of women. This was a radical departure from other peoples in the Middle East.